Hello, Kelly Cougars, and welcome to your online library classroom. This week, we are returning to the topic of National Hispanic Heritage Month, and we will be putting a spotlight on author-illustrator Yuyi Morales. Today, we are going to meet Yuyi, hear her talk about her book Dreamers, which is a winner of the Pura Belprix 2019 Illustrator Award. An illustrator is an artist who makes their art for books. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, my name is Yuyi Morales, and I'm an artist and an author, and I'm delighted to tell you about my picture book, Dreamers. There are many reasons why I created Dreamers, but one of the most important ones is that I wanted to celebrate what immigrants bring to a new country when they arrive. They bring their strength, they bring their abilities, their talents, their passion, las ganas por hacer algo. Another reason why I created Dreamers, picture books help me find my path and my purpose as an immigrant in the United States. What I remember most dearly is some nights in which my mother will sit next to her sewing machine, and she will put a chair for me at the table. She will bring a pencil or a pen and pieces of paper. She will let me draw away as she needed to work. This was late at night because she had already been doing all the other chores, and now she needed time to create. I love to use symbolism in my work. As I was researching for this book, I found out the monarch butterflies. Monarch butterflies, they take such a long time to arrive here that when they come to the United States, they are already a fourth generation. And it made me think so much about how immigrants, some of us do things like that. We come and not necessarily thinking that what we are going to change is our own life, but how we are going to be adding and changing the life of those that come after us. You will also find a bat. There are bats that also come from Mexico. They arrive in some areas of California, and they also arrive to Texas. You will find also some other animals, such as a snake. And it actually, what it signifies is how, as we move, as we are learning, there are those who will put in our path something that feels difficult, that feels like it is hard to understand why we have to go through these things. But eventually we find that those things that at the beginning we didn't know how to deal with, eventually that will be our strength. We will learn from that. You will see also something that resembles the craft that metal workers use for some of the artwork that is made in Mexico, and I did it with the swallows. There is also inspiration like the volcanoes you see there. They are the representation of the sleeping woman and also of the warrior. And to me, they are very, very important because they symbolize both the feminine power and the waking up of the power of people. We all have things to say, we all have stories, and we do it in different ways. Sometimes it can be as simple as you grab a few pieces of paper and you tie them together, you make a little book. And in that book, you can create your own story in many different ways. Sometimes maybe you want to write words. Sometimes you might not want to use any words. Perhaps you are going to make a drawing or two or three. As long as you feel that whatever you put in those pages is telling what you want to say, then you are creating your own book. There are many different ways of saying that story, and every one of us, you have your very own way to tell what you want to say. Spanish has always a very strong place in all the stories that I tell. The way I see it is that Spanish and English are like siblings. They are like these two languages that are not separate from each other. In fact, they are part of one same language. Lastly, I want to leave you with one quote from my book. Someday, we will become something we haven't even yet imagined. But right now, we are stories, we are resilience, we are hope, we are dreamers. soñadores of the world. Thank you.
Okay, I feel very inspired by listening to Yuyi talk about her artistic process and her life story. She used a word called symbolism a lot and talked about animals that are in Mexico and the United States, as well as some other symbols like volcanoes. What do you think she means when she talks about symbolism? I'm going to read you her story, Dreamers, that she was just talking about. While you listen, think about how she is using a symbol or a picture or color to represent parts of her life. I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became amor, love, amor. Resplendent life, you and I. One day, we bundled gifts in our backpack and crossed a bridge outstretched like the universe. Adios, corazon. And when we made it to the other side, thirsty in awe, unable to go back, we became immigrants. Migrantes, you and I. The sky and the land welcomed us in words unlike those of our ancestors. There were so many things we didn't know, unable to understand and afraid to speak. We made lots of mistakes. You and I became caminantes. Thousands and thousands of steps we took around this land until the day we found a place we had never seen before. Suspicious, improbable, unbelievable, surprising, unimaginable. Where we didn't need to speak, we only needed to trust. And we did. Books became our language. Books became our home. Books became our lives. We learned to read. To speak, to write, and to make our voices heard. Someday we will become something we haven't even yet imagined. But right now, we are stories. We are two languages. We are lucha. We are resilience. We are hope. We are dreamers, sonadores of the world. We are love, amor, love. Thank you for listening to that story. This is truly one of my favorite books. This week, your activity is to tell your story. Do you remember which animals Yuyi uses in her story? She uses bats and monarch butterflies. Do you remember why? Because both animals migrate from Mexico to the United States, similar to her journey. This week, tell your story in words and or pictures. You may use any art supplies you have available. Think about how Yuyi uses animals, colors, and other pictures or symbols to tell her story. Try to do the same. Share a picture or video of your picture story. Until next time, Kelly Cougars.